After the storm, I went to see a tarot card reader, and he told me that the storm had fractured time and displaced a lot of ghosts, and they were all wandering around the city, sort of lost and disoriented. And I thought that was a very interesting idea. Not to say I necessarily believed it, but I was very intrigued by it. And so I came up with this idea that Rebecca, the main character, would be able to hold the hand of the ghost and be taken into that supernatural world, and they will be able to do this long trek across the city and see all the ghosts that were there. And it was one of the most difficult and interesting and entertaining parts of the book to write, I have to say. 4 miles didn't sound like a long way, but 4 miles in New Orleans was another matter entirely when you were dealing with the spirit world. Lisette hadn't been lying. The city was thronged with ghosts. 300 years worth of ghosts, all of them wearing the clothes they died in, many of them bearing, all too visibly in some cases, the injuries that killed them. That next Saturday, with her hand firmly clasped in Lisette's, Rebecca could see them all. And the sight was so amazing, so overwhelming, it was all Rebecca could do to keep her mouth from hanging open in surprise. Some of the ghosts were white, many more black. Some spoke French or Spanish. A little girl in a ragged dress, skipping up and down the street, sang to herself in German. Rebecca heard some snatches of languages she thought she recognized, like Italian, and others she couldn't identify at all. Most of the ghosts wandered around their little patches alone, but many hung out in strange mixed-century gaggles. Near the corner of Terpsichore Street, a black man wearing nothing but a cut-off pair of torn trousers, raw marks from chains or handcuffs worn into his thin wrists, stood leaning against a lamppost. Deep in conversation with him were 2 white women, one in a flimsy 1920s-style evening dress with a blood-soaked back, the other a mom in jeans and a mangled purple LSU sweatshirt. The man waved at Lisette as they walked by. "He was a slave flogged to death," she whispered to Rebecca. "He's been around almost as long as I have. Not sure about why he was killed. He doesn't like to talk about it." That woman in the pretty dress joined him, 1929, I think. Her boyfriend murdered her in that house up there. Lisette pointed to a leaning house on the corner, its windows boarded up. "And the other woman?" "She's been there for the last 4 or 5 years, head-on collision at the intersection with a drunk driver.